Meeting the boss late at night in a bar. My eyes fixed on her plunging V-neck. Wouldn't this be a bit too revealing? She sneered and continued unbuttoning her shirt. The models you ordered didn't even bother with tops, she said. What's so revealing about this? I wiped the tears at the corner of my mouth and silently retorted, revealing my guilty conscience. When Liu Ryan's call came through, I was happily enjoying myself at the bar, just a second away from touching the model's soft curves. Without hesitation, I hung up the phone. Liu Ryan fired off 3 question marks. Then came a 1-second voice message. Where? Question my ass. She always stares at me in the office, as if guarding against me slacking off. I'm just a laborer, not selling my soul. Lowering my voice, I sent back a voice reply. Sorry, boss. I'm feeling dizzy, resting at home. Liu Ryan replied instantly. Oh, is that so? Then I must be in your home too. Now it was my turn to send question marks. I played the voice message. Liu Ryan's voice came through, a bit gritted with anger. I'm sitting in the booth right behind you, watching you finish the drinks, twirl in the dance floor, and order 5 models. Come here. I'll treat your dizziness. I froze and turned around, locking eyes with Liu Ryan's cold smile. Her dark outfit had its sleeves rolled halfway up, revealing her fair, slender wrists. Her sharp brows lifted ever so slightly as she raised her glass and made a mocking toast from across the air. Honestly, who wears a deep V-neck to a bar and calls themselves a decent person? If she weren't my boss, I'd whistle my way over, invite her to a martini, then sit right on her lap and invite her mouth to mouth. But she's my boss, the one who decides my miserable paycheck. So all I could do was put on a sheepish smile, grab my drink, and shuffle over. Boss, don't you think this outfit is a bit too revealing? Revealing what? She smirked coldly, tapping her glass against the bar. Not too hard, not too soft. Her slender fingers hovered over the remaining buttons, deliberately fiddling with them, and then ended to more. I couldn't help but sneak another glance, peering down the half-open blouse. The flickering neon lights barely revealed the tantalizing curves hidden within. This woman in the office would button her shirts all the way up to her neck. Who could have guessed her figure was this incredible? I gulped audibly, forcing myself to look away. Well, boss, you enjoy yourself. I won't bother you. In such a hurry, she suddenly grabbed my wrist, her fingers still cool from the glass. But her voice was warm, almost teasing. Are you saying my figure isn't as good as those models you ordered? To be honest, Liu Ryan's figure could easily rival the highest priced category. But I had the desire of a thief, not the guts of one. So I firmly and righteously declined. Boss, I just remembered there's a proposal I haven't finished. I should head back first. This excuse could bring even the harshest capitalist to tears. But Liu Ryan was faster than me. She stood up swiftly, buttoning her blouse while pulling me along out of the bar. Perfect, she said. Let's discuss the details of that proposal on the way. Where's the justice in this? Do you believe I'll report you to the Labor Protection Association? Liu Ryan's eyes curved with amusement. Relax, she said. I'll pay you 5 times your salary. Fine, with one command from my boss. I'd be her workhorse. And so, under the dim AM lighting of the bar, we huddled close together, analyzing a Word document on her phone screen. The surroundings were so dim, I didn't notice myself leaning closer and closer, squinting hard to make out the dater. The drinks I had earlier were starting to kick in. I couldn't hold back anymore. Boss, the screen is too small. It's straining my eyes. Can we go home and sleep instead? Before I could finish my sentence, Liu Ryan reached out and pulled me into an embrace, pressing my face against the crook of her shoulder. My head rested comfortably, so close I could catch the faint scent of her perfume lingering on her neck. Liu Ryan's voice was soft, almost tender. Leaning on me will feel better. It did feel better. Almost too good. Especially with that plunging V-neck barely concealing anything. Through the thin fabric, I could almost feel the softness of her skin and the steady thrum of her heartbeat. This is dangerous. My brain feels like it stopped working entirely. Liu Ryan asked calmly, "What do you think about this dater?" "It's pretty substantial," I blurted out. "Why did you order 5 models?" "Because I wanted to see." Midway through my muddled reply, I realized she had baited me. Liu Ryan leaned forward slightly, her chest pressing even closer to my face. "See what? You're just my boss." This question crosses the line. I pointed at the digital project document. I wanted to see the authenticity of this dater, to better prepare for market analysis later. Liu Ryan was silent for a moment, her voice tinged with gritted frustration. Fine, discussing the project with Liu Ryan. I couldn't help but feel parched as we talked. It didn't help that every glance brought a bombardment of sensuality. Swallowing my dry throat was becoming too obvious. So after gulping down after drink 5, 6, maybe more, I successfully got myself drunk, and with the alcohol emboldening me, I reached out and tugged at Liu Ryan's collar, my drunken gaze diving closer. "Let me touch," I murmured while letting my hands wander, making exaggerated slurping sounds. Liu Ryan, pinned to the sofa beneath me, lowered her eyes, her emotions unreadable. It seemed like she tried to resist, but I was too far gone to be stopped. The scene was utterly indecent. How do I know? Because I completely blacked out at the time. When I woke up the next morning, I saw Liu Ryan lying beside me on the bed, carefully holding my breath. I tried to put on my clothes and sneak away unnoticed, but Liu Ryan grabbed my wrist. Her voice was husky as she spoke. She took out her phone and showed me the absurd scenes from last night at the bar, lowering her eyes. She looked almost pitiful. "You dragged me into the hotel yourself," she said. "Are you not going to take responsibility?" "Not at all." My scalp tingled as I stammered. "Boss, actually, I have a fiancée." I thought dropping this bombshell would make her immediately let go. To my surprise, her expression didn't change. In fact, she even smirked a little. "So what?" I panicked. "I mean it. Don't you believe me? The truth is, being a worker is just my cover. I'm actually a rich second-generation kid. The kind who wears knockoff clothes for $1.99, takes the subway to work, and snacks on free treats from the office pantry. Are you secretly spying on me?" I was exasperated. "I'm serious. I came to work at this company and cut ties with my family just to escape from an arranged fiancé I've never even met. Money is precious. Love is priceless. But freedom is worth even more. For the sake of freedom, I'd give up both. See, I'm a principled rich kid." Liu Ryan's grip on my wrist tightened. "In that case, why don't I help you? After all, I'm already yours. Wouldn't it be perfect to use me to call off the engagement?" That line, "I'm already yours," stunned me. It sent chills down my spine as I rubbed at the goosebumps. Looking into Liu Ryan's beautiful face, I hesitated. She did have a point. After all, I ordered 5 models, just to find someone to pretend to be my girlfriend. Now, this option wouldn't even cost me a dime. If it's free, why not take it? I made a snap decision. All right, but let's get this straight first. This is just an act. Your company is way too small. There's no way my family would approve of us being together. Her lashes fluttered lightly, making her look pitiful. The warm pad of her finger grazed my wrist, sliding across my palm and interlaced with my fingers, holding them tightly. Even if the feelings are mutual, it wouldn't work. Her eyes shimmered like water, and staring at her face, I swallowed hard, completely spellbound. Not impossible. After making the agreement, I quietly reflected. I didn't feel anything unusual on my body. In fact, my thermal underwear was still intact. Why didn't I feel anything at all? I cast a suspicious glance at Liu Ryan. She looked slightly guilty, avoiding my gaze. Even exposing her charm wasn't enough to distract me. I wouldn't let myself be fooled by her beauty. I was resolute. I get it now. Are you not capable? Liu Ryan's face turned green. Her expression was complicated, caught between speaking and holding back. I patted her shoulder. Forget it. Your software might be lacking, but at least your hardware is decent. Besides, with modern medicine, there's no need to feel insecure. Liu Ryan lifted her head, pressing her hand against my wrist. You seem to know a lot, don't you? Just a bit. A little here and there. My instincts told me. This woman was quite dangerous right now. I quickly pulled my hand back. Hurriedly gathering my things, I dashed off to the office. Before leaving, I gave her a stern warning. Office romances are strictly forbidden. We have to keep our relationship a secret, I declared. Liu Ryan looked utterly puzzled. Is there such a rule? Why don't I know about it? I stood my ground confidently. I made it up myself. I realized my past impression of Liu Ryan was completely wrong. That aloof, quiet, and self-restrained persona? All of it was fake. She didn't have a shred of self-restraint. Sitting at my desk, I could feel her burning gaze through the glass door. Even my colleague sitting beside me couldn't help but lean over and whisper, "Why is the boss staring at you like that? Are you planning to jump ship and she found out? Or did you screw up a project?" Keeping a straight face, I replied, "Maybe she has a crush on me." My colleague burst into laughter. "Haha, you're hilarious." I got up and headed to the break room. Not long after, Liu Ryan followed me there, slinking over like a cat. Suddenly, I felt her arms wrap firmly around my waist. Her chin rested lightly on my shoulder. With a pitiful tone, she murmured, "Why are you ignoring me?" The morning wasn't even over, and she'd already sent me 99 plus messages. From the clouds she saw in the sky to the stray cats she passed by, to a barrage of random dog stickers. She sent it all. I didn't bother replying. As I reached up to grab the coffee jar on the shelf, Liu Ryan darted in first. Still holding my waist, startled, I nearly shouted. This was the break room. Anyone could walk in at any moment. I tried to push her away, attempting to reason with her. This is too much. The pace of this relationship is way too fast. Liu Ryan furrowed her brows and stammered for a long moment. Actually, nothing happened last night. I just helped you change your clothes. It clicked for me. So you're saying nothing happened between us last night? Then why are you asking me to take responsibility? Phew. I almost got scammed by this girl. But in an instant, Liu Ryan's eyes reddened, her lashes fluttering as if she'd suffered a great injustice. You kissed me. How can you not take responsibility? Wait, no! This is the 21st century. Can't you? But that was my first kiss. I might have been drunk, but it was still my first kiss. No matter how much I tried to reason with her, she kept repeating the same sentence. By the time she was done, my mouth was dry and my tongue parched. And looking at her pitiful face, I caved. Fine, I'll take responsibility. But let me make this clear first. I've never met my fiancée, but her family is incredibly influential. The obstacles we'll face will be significant. Don't worry, she replied. If they offer me money to leave you, I'll take it graciously and walk away without looking back. Consider it compensation for me. Our company's been doing well, and with that money, we could expand our scale even further. It wouldn't be a loss for anyone. As I was explaining, I noticed Liu Ryan seemed lost in thought. Hey, are you even listening to me? She suddenly grinned mischievously. So you're willing to take responsibility for me? Turns out, she didn't hear a single word I said after that. I couldn't help but secretly search. Is it normal for a boss to be too clingy? What's it like when your boss turns into your girlfriend overnight? How to distance yourself from a love-struck boss? An hour later, the answers to these questions were all cries for help. Some writers even got inspired, crafting vivid scenarios, each more outrageous than the last. Reading them left me blushing furiously, feeling like I'd stumbled onto the wrong website. But I couldn't deny they were good. So good that I spent the whole afternoon slacking off, Dinner was great, life was sweet. As the end of the workday approached, Liu Ryan called me to prepare. "We're heading out tonight to discuss a project," she said. Everyone else fled the office like their lives depended on it, leaving me miserably alone. Once the place was empty, Liu Ryan walked over with a bright smile, tapping lightly on my desk. Her voice carried an inexplicable huskiness. "It's just the two of us now." My pent-up worker frustration spilled over. "So, you've always handled business on your own. Why bring me along this time? Can't you be like those sensible bosses who sling on a backpack and earn the team's paychecks themselves?" Liu Ryan twirled her fingers. "They've all left. The office is empty. I hadn't caught on yet. So, what do you want to do?" Her eyes gleamed. "Anything you want." I was intrigued. "Anything?" She closed her eyes tightly, leaning closer. Her high, elegant nose, fluttering lash, and slightly puckered lips drew nearer and nearer. I jumped in shock. "What are you doing?" When I pushed her away, her face was filled with frustration. "This is how it's written in the stories." "What stories?" "The novels you've been reading." I didn't even dare recall those chaotic, overly suggestive scenes I'd read. I cringed so hard my toes curled into the ground. Feeling embarrassed and annoyed, I snapped. "Why are you snooping on your employee's search history?" "I wasn't going to, but I saw your face getting redder and redder as you stared at the screen. I couldn't help but check to see what you were looking at." As she spoke, she shyly lowered her head. "I didn't expect you to like that kind of ... play." I didn't. Don't make stuff up." Thank goodness the meeting with the client was scheduled for 8 p.m. or I was genuinely afraid she'd start acting out those plays right in the office. The client, though a chubby, overly friendly woman, kept giving me a look that made me deeply uncomfortable. After 3 rounds of drinks, the details of the deal were mostly finalized, but then she suddenly raised her glass towards me. "I didn't expect Liu to have such a dashing assistant. If you'd brought him earlier, maybe we'd have closed this deal sooner. I love drinking with handsome men. Come, cheers." Before Liu Ryan could intervene, the woman laughed, flashing a set of crooked teeth. "We're partners now. Not drinking would mean you're disrespecting me." This was a blatant, unspoken threat. Liu Ryan's face darkened as she reached out to stop my glass. I dodged her hand, slowly raising my glass towards the woman. "In that case, then don't blame me for being impolite." I downed drink after drink. 5, 6, 7, 8 cups in a row. In the end, I turned the tables, leaving her completely stunned. Even Liu Ryan, watching from the side, was dumbfounded. The old hag's beady eyes were rolling back and forth as if battling each other. I set down the bottle and nudged Liu Ryan. "Go settle the bill." Liu Ryan stared at me in disbelief. "I didn't know you could drink like this. Are you kidding me? Ever since I turned 18, drinking baijiu has been like rinsing my mouth. I've been holding back. Otherwise, I'd have completely wrecked this old hag." As soon as Liu Ryan left to handle the bill, the client staggered towards me, her full weight leaning into me, reeking of alcohol. Her rough little hands reached steadily for my chest. "What's the rush? Make me comfortable, and you can choose any project you want." Even drunk, this woman's lecherous intentions were crystal clear. Grimacing, I grabbed an empty bottle and slammed it hard on her head. "How's that feel good? If you like it, there's more where that came from. There are plenty of empty bottles on the table. I'll keep smashing until you're satisfied." Don't you have a mirror at home? Or have you never taken a good look at yourself in a puddle? What makes you think you can exploit me? The bottle seemed to sober her up instantly. Her eyes widened in shock, and she pointed at me with a trembling finger. "You dare hit me? Just wait. I'll make sure your company goes under." Liu Ryan walked back just in time to see the client's head covered in shards of glass. The client pointed at me, yelling furiously. I thought about yelling back, but seeing Liu Ryan had returned, I decided to maintain the dignity of a mere employee. I chose silence. Unexpectedly, the first thing Liu Ryan did was rush over and grab my hand. "Are you hurt?" Did the glass cut you? It was clear. The client was even more stunned than me. Holding her head, she stammered, Liu, Ms. Liu, your assistant attacked me like this. This deal is off. Even if you both knelt down to apologize, I still. Before she could finish, she took another hit, this time a sharp kick. Liu Ryan's face remained expressionless, but the force of her foot was undeniable. The pointed tip of her shiny high heel dug into the client's stomach, making her retch on the spot. Standing firmly by my side, Liu Ryan shielded me. She looked coldly at the client, now kneeling and sprawled on the ground. The one who should kneel and apologize is you. If I'd known you were this foolish, I wouldn't have brought He Kong here. Smashing 10 people like you wouldn't even scratch my mood. You dare threaten me with the deal? Partnering with a piece of trash like you? I'd be worried it would ruin my karma. I never expected things to escalate this far. I quickly stepped in to hold back the furious Liu Ryan, terrified she'd accidentally end up beating the client to a pulp. This was serious. We'd worked so hard to secure this project. I'd spent more than a week of overtime polishing the proposal. And most importantly, this old hag's company was genuinely quite big. When I hit her, I had already made up my mind to resign. But Liu Ryan was different. The company had just gotten on the right track. If it were shut down, the 10+ core members of the team would all be left with nothing to eat. The more I thought about it, the more anxious I became. I even started planning to write a resume for Liu Ryan on job boards. But Liu Ryan didn't seem to care about such things. After handling the situation, she decisively pulled me out of there. Before we left, she grabbed my hand, scratched by the glass shards. Her expression was cold. Let's get to the hospital immediately. I won't let that woman off the hook. She was right, we needed to hurry. If we delayed even one more minute, this wound might heal on its own. Once outside, Liu Ryan clung to me pitifully, looking genuinely concerned. Are you mad? You must be mad. You're ignoring me now. I'm sorry. I really didn't know that woman was so vile. I'll go back right now and kick her again. I swear I'll take her down. Seeing her about to turn back, I quickly grabbed her arm. Calm down. I'm writing a resume for you. Liu Ryan blinked her warm, teary eyes and wrapped herself around me like a koala clinging to a tree. Sniff, sniff. You're so thoughtful. I love you even more now. What's wrong with this girl? Did she eat sugar or something? How can she spout sweet words like they're free? We just lost such a big project. And she's not worried in the slightest, is she? After hesitating for a long time, I decided to call up some of my old, unreliable friends. They might not be the most trustworthy bunch, but they're all rich second-generation heirs. If the company were to face retaliation, they might be able to help. To my surprise, their drunken thoughts went completely off track. My buddy Kao Zukun waved his hand dramatically. Brother Kong has spoken. We'll definitely help you out. But running away from home is one thing. You've actually found a woman? Do you think the Shen family will just let that slide? I snorted coldly. What era are we living in? Who still does arranged marriages these days? I haven't even met that Shen girl. And suddenly they want an alliance? They're out of their minds. Kao Zukun, his drunken gaze fixed on Liu Ryan's photo, nodded in admiration. She's so stunning. If it were me, I'd fight my family too. After staring at the photo a bit longer, he added, but your company is tiny. It's only just been established. The Shen family could crush it with a single finger. Can you two really take them on? If you're going to find a woman anyway, why not consider me Tsai? She's had a crush on you for ages, he said, pointing to Mitsai sitting quietly in the corner. I held my head in my hands. Don't try to play matchmaker for me. Feelings are the hardest thing to define. If no matter how long you stay together, you won't feel a thing. Waving him off, I said, I've already made things clear with her. It's all just an act. When the Shen family pays her off, We'll break up. She can use the money to support her company. If I scout for more models, I refuse to believe the Shen family will insist on me marrying their choice. My buddy rubbed his hands together mischievously. So what you're saying is, it's purely a transactional relationship between you two. Then, when it's over, can I pursue her? It was clearly just a joke, but hearing it made me uncomfortable. The thought of Liu Ryan standing behind someone else, or perhaps clinging to them as she had to me, and acting all sweet and playful, it weighed on my heart like a heavy stone. I couldn't bring myself to casually say, "Go ahead," noticing my stiff expression. My buddy chuckled knowingly. Ha, some people talk so casually, but their hearts are already tangled up. He patted my shoulder. Your family won't give up on the Shen marriage so easily. Good luck, buddy. The more he talked, the more agitated I became. We drank noisily until late into the night. Then Mitsai suddenly spoke up. If she's He King's girlfriend, why not call her over so we can meet her too? The group egged me on. And fueled by alcohol, I called Liu Ryan. Staring at the word boss on the screen sobered me up instantly. I was about to hang up when the call was already answered. It was past 1 a.m. and she picked up in a heartbeat. Do bosses not need sleep? With the arrow already drawn, I couldn't turn back. Facing the curious stares of my gossip-hungry friends, I cleared my throat awkwardly. Oh, I'm trying to secure a project for our company. Could you come over and chat with a potential client? Oh, and maybe give me a ride home too? Liu Ryan's tone dipped slightly. At a bar? Yeah. Drinking? Yeah. For some reason, I started feeling more and more guilty. Send me your location. I'm on my way. The moment the call ended, the subtle pressure in the air eased up just a little. My buddy let out a long sigh of relief. Man, that scared me. He Kong, are you sure this is just an act between you two? She's acting more like your wife. No, wait, he corrected himself. You haven't even met your future wife. She's stricter than your actual wife could ever be. Mikai's face turned sour, and she sat silently in the corner, drinking in frustration. Someone sneered. Who knows if she's just a pretty facade hiding a hollow inside? Probably nothing but a broke pretender. Another chimed in. He Kong, what do you even see in her? More voices joined in agreement. Exactly. She's just some startup founder. How can she compare to Mitsai? Yeah, He Kong. She's nothing compared to Mitsai. I cut them off coldly. Whether she compares or not is for me to decide. I hadn't intended for things to get this tense, but their words, laced with disdain for Liu Ryan, were making me uncomfortable. After working with her for over 3 months, I knew her capabilities well. She was far more resourceful, decisive, and competent than any of the spoiled heirs in this room. One of them, noticing my expression, glanced at Mitsai before muttering under her breath, how long have they even known each other? And he's already defending her. I ignored her, focusing entirely on waiting for Liu Ryan. In less than 15 minutes, Liu Ryan pushed open the door to the private room. Kaozuku let out an exaggerated chuckle. She's even more stunning in person than in photos. Man, that waist-to-hip ratio. Those long legs. He Kong, you've been eating so well behind our backs. Brother, you're being so loud. Are you trying to get me killed? I froze, my whole body stiffening, not daring to even glance at Liu Ryan. He's drunk, I muttered. Talking nonsense. Liu Ryan walked straight over and sat down beside me, lowering her voice. So, do you want something good to eat? With a graceful tug of her slender fingers, I found myself leaning into her, half resisting, half complying. She supported me as we got up and headed for the door. Mitsai suddenly stepped in front of us, her eyes scanning Liu Ryan from head to toe. What are you even wearing? That V-neck doesn't even have a brand. Liu Ryan's tone was calm as she replied, adding with a faint smile, it's He Qiang's favorite. That made me sound like a complete weirdo, and yet with me pressed against her, all the words I wanted to say were stuck in my throat. I could only watch as Mikai's expression shifted from disdainful to stormy. She gritted her teeth, unable to get a word out. Finally, after a long pause, she spat. "You're building your career off a man. Don't you feel ashamed?" "What's shameful about it?" Liu Ryan spread her hands casually. "Who earns the money doesn't matter. You shouldn't discriminate based on gender." It was clear that this completely threw Mitsai off. Liu Ryan lowered her head shyly, glancing at me, and if He Kong wants to support me, then who handles what in the household doesn't matter. What's important is that we live well together. She leaned closer, giving Mitsai a pointed look. "Don't you think so too? Then it seems your values and He Kang's don't really align." Liu Ryan pulled me closer, her voice calm yet deliberate. "Baby, your friend doesn't seem very friendly. Am I interrupting your gathering?" What an overwhelming wave of tea-flavored manipulation. But when I looked into her ocean-like eyes, glistening with a shimmering light, my resolve completely crumbled. "No! We were just about to wrap up anyway. Let's go!" I clearly saw Mitsai tense up, ready to barge into Liu Ryan. Before I could say anything, Liu Ryan calmly led me forward, leaving Mitsai to crash straight to the floor, flat on her back. It was utterly humiliating. The room fell into an awkward silence. Mikai's face turned ashen with anger. "You'll regret this. I won't let you off so easily." Liu Ryan leaned even closer to me. "He Kong, she's so mean. Did I do something wrong to upset your friend? Can someone please tell me why this woman is so skilled at playing the helpless act?" I pressed my lips together to stifle my frustration. "No, she's just weak. Let's go." I had initially hoped to help Liu Ryan network with a few clients, but this woman spent the whole time pretending to be a green tea queen. How could we even talk business now? As we left, a few of them followed us out, just as I was about to unlock a shared bike. Mitsai gritted her teeth and shouted, "He Kong, do you really have to make such a stupid mistake? You don't want the Shen family, and you don't want me, but you chose someone like her?" I slapped her across the face. "Living the life I want is a mistake? Mitsai, I'm not interested in debating values with you. Move aside. If I truly like someone, I'd ride a shared bike home with her. We have hands and feet, don't we? He Kong have the ability and the means to live a good life. Do you taste the sewage truck's water every time it passes by your house just to check its flavor? If you enjoy meddling so much in other people's lives, why even bother being a second-gen heir? Go be a storyteller instead. Now stop blocking my shared bike queue or code." Before I could finish, a sleek black Aston Martin rolled up in the distance. Liu Ryan stepped out, opened the passenger door, all in one fluid motion. "Your carriage awaits, my prince." What can I say? The pretentiousness of it all was completely undone by her endearing silliness. Meanwhile, the BMW key in Mikai's hand seemed to burn her. Once we left them in the dust, I sighed deeply. "Alright, Spill. How much did you spend renting this car? I know you wanted to help me save face, but it wasn't necessary. The company is still in its growth phase. We need to spend money wisely. I've already got a shared bike subscription. Riding one back is super economical. Have you subscribed yet? If you top up now, there's a discount. You can ride it to work and back." Liu Ryan's expression turned complicated. She silently handed me her phone to top up the subscription. After hesitating for a long time, she finally said, "What if I told you the car is actually mine?" I let out a heavy sigh. Seems like those second gens earlier really got to you. "It's okay." I spoke earnestly. "I just like you for who you are. Even riding a shared bike together would be fine." Liu Ryan suddenly slammed on the brakes. With a screech, the bike came to a stop by the roadside. Her bright eyes turned to look at me. "So, were you just confessing to me? You like me, don't you?" I was startled by this unexpected force of impact. Rationality kicked in. "No, wait! Shared bikes can't carry passengers. We can't ride together. It has to be one bike per person. Liu Ryan smiled shyly, her face radiating sweetness. Her eyes were filled with a sugary glow. When did you decide to like me? I knew it. I've been by your side for 3 months now. There's no way you could remain indifferent. Was this like a chicken talking to a duck? Don't you realize that our conversations are never on the same wavelength? Someone so beautiful. How could her laughter resemble that of a fool? I took another close look at her face. Those peach blossom eyes shimmering with light. Those gently curved eyebrows. And the slightly open neckline when she leaned in close. Forget it. Even if she's a fool, she's the only one of her kind in this world. The most beautiful fool. I'm resigned. I sighed. But let me be upfront. My fiancée comes from a very powerful family. Well, my dad supports me. My mom is insistent that I marry her. But don't be afraid. My family abides by the law. At most, they try to throw a check at you. But the Shen family, on the other hand, is a different story. They've just recently brought their businesses back from abroad. It's hard to gauge their depths. But don't worry, I still have money in my pocket. For now, just bear with it. I'm not some kind of prize. If we drag this out for 10 days or half a month, the Shen family will probably find another son-in-law. I rambled on for quite a while, before realizing that Liu Ryan hadn't said a word. I abruptly stopped mid-sentence. Wait, do you not want this? Honestly, if you don't want to, I totally get it. You've got people in the company depending on you. No need to go head-to-head with the Shen family. Forced melons aren't sweet. Return this bike yourself. I'm heartbroken now. I need to take a taxi home. Oh, by the way, take the next 2 days off. And don't dock my pay. Why are you looking at me like that? Taking 2 days to recover from heartbreak is pretty impressive, okay? Don't push it. My words were suddenly silenced by warm, soft lips. Her nose pressed against mine. Her trembling lash spilled a mix of caution and delight, like a pool of water. I felt myself melting into her embrace. If not for the lack of air, I wouldn't have noticed that. The corner of my lip had been bitten raw. Was she part dog or something? It took all my effort to push her away. I shielded my mouth defensively. Let's talk like civilized people. No touching. No kissing either. She licked her lips. I'll take you home. Who undoes buttons while saying something like that? Just before getting out of the car, I was dragged into another kiss that lasted over 10 minutes. When I finally got out, I nearly collapsed to the ground, my legs weak, summoning the last shred of reason. I refused Liu Ryan's offer to help me upstairs. After shutting the door, I sat down on the floor, touching my slightly tingling lips. Leaning in, I typed a message in the family group chat. I found someone I like. I'll bring her home tomorrow to meet you all. As for the Shen family marriage arrangement, whoever wants it can have it. I'm out. The darkened screen reflected my foolishly happy face. But I didn't expect my parents to show up at my place immediately. My mom wore a stern expression. I've heard everything from Mitsai. You like some small-time company owner? Has your brain been kicked by a donkey? You're giving up someone as outstanding as the Shen girl for a broke little girl? She's not a broke little girl. I tried to hold my mom's hand, pouting as I pleaded. Mom, she's a wonderful person. She's hardworking and has a strong sense of justice. But most importantly, I like her. I told them all about the time I'd spent with Liu Ryan, every detail of her sincerity and strength. When I mentioned how that client tried to take advantage of me, my mom slammed the table in anger. What kind of vile scum rises to management like that? And that company, it doesn't deserve to exist. Seizing the opportunity, I showered her with flattery, praising her as unparalleled in the heavens and on earth. Her mood visibly improved, but her expression remained stern. Flattery won't help you. The Shen girl is truly exceptional. He Kong, I just want you to find someone suitable. Mom, but I want to be with someone I truly like. I stood tall and looked at her resolutely. I didn't leave home on a whim. I wanted to prove That I'm already someone who can take responsibility for my own choices. In the 3 months I've been at the company, I've worked hard and I've been genuinely happy and fulfilled. Every time I finish a proposal or secure a deal with a client, I can't help but think, this must have been what you went through when you started your business. I'm lucky to stand on your shoulders and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But I also believe I have what it takes to become a giant myself. I don't need a marriage based on dependency. What I want is to walk the path I've chosen. My dad suddenly placed a hand on my mom's shoulder. We've misunderstood. This isn't rebellion. Kong has truly grown up. Then turning to me, he smiled warmly and said, "All right then, invite your little girlfriend over. Let's all have dinner together." I looked at him, the sunlight highlighting the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. No matter how many years pass, he will always be my strongest pillar of support. When Liu Ryan found out she was coming to my house for dinner, she seemed incredibly nervous. How nervous, you ask? She stared at her blacked-out computer screen for 18 minutes straight without realizing it. Her reflection in the dark screen showed a face both beautiful and hilariously dazed. Then, at my reminder, she suddenly jumped up. She started pacing around her desk in circles. 7 o'clock dinner tonight? We need to go to the mall to pick out gifts. No, the mall won't do. What if the gifts aren't good enough? Let me check if there are any nearby auctions. Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh as I watched her panic. Is money meant to be burned? Can't you engrave thrift and frugality into your DNA? I decisively stopped her. Just buy some fruits, that's enough. We already have plenty of things at home. And it's just a casual meal. When we were about to step into the house, she stood straight, like an iron rod piercing through the sky. My collar isn't messy, is it? Is my hairstyle still fine? Relax, I reassured her, holding her hand. I noticed her palm was damp. Liu Ryan stammered as she spoke. Husband, actually I have something else. Something I've been meaning to tell you. I was hurrying upstairs, ignoring her as I said, let's talk later. We're going to be late. But I have to tell you first, she insisted. Otherwise it'll. I pushed her into the house without letting her finish. Hello, uncle and aunt. Hello, they greeted. For some reason, when my parents saw her, their expressions turned complicated. My father scratched his head. Kong, are you? I intentionally supported Liu Ryan and silently apologized in my heart. Sorry, ex-fiancée. Then I spilled everything out. Mom, Dad, this is my girlfriend, Liu Ryan. Though she currently runs just a small company, I believe in her abilities. She's hardworking and earnest, far better than those arrogant rich kids from the Shen family. My father's violent coughing interrupted me, and my mother's face turned peculiar. Son, you don't need to put down the Shen family girl. I think the Shen family, she's actually quite. To prevent Liu Ryan from feeling inferior or upset, I quickly took over the conversation. Up until now, I said, the Shen family has only ever brought up the topic of marriage through their elders. The person involved never even showed up. I think people who act all high and mighty, but can't even handle their own marriage arrangements, are really low. Just as I was getting heated in my rant, Liu Ryan spoke in a soft voice. Husband, can I say something? Looking at her pale face, my heart ached for her. Go ahead, I said. Don't worry, that Shen girl isn't even worth a strand of your hair. You have nothing to feel inferior about. Liu Ryan clutched her chest. I don't feel inferior, she said, but I do feel awful. Husband, you just scolded the Shen girl. Promise me you won't scold me now, okay? I looked at her, confused. Why would I scold you? She tilted her head, looking guilty. It was my parents who initiated the marriage proposal with your family. I didn't know about it at first. When I found out, I rushed back to the country without delay. I originally planned to meet you directly, but I heard you were so furious that you stormed out of the house. It so happened that a friend of mine opened a small company, and I ended up receiving your resume. I thought, We could spend some time together first. If you really hated me, I'd reflect on myself and make serious changes. But then I realized it's not me you're against. It's just the idea of an arranged marriage. As Liu Ryan spoke, her voice grew quieter and quieter. Husband, I was wrong, she finally said. I didn't mean to hide it from you, she said. My mind buzzed. Even your name is fake. No! I'm called Shen Ryan and also Liu Ryan. My father's last name is Liu, but my mother is the only daughter of the Shen family, so I have two surnames. No wonder my parents kept trying to stop me from bad-mouthing them. Who would have thought? My current girlfriend is my never-before-met ex-fiancée? What kind of dramatic plot twist is this? I was so embarrassed I felt like my toes could dig out an entire Disney castle. And yet Liu Ryan didn't seem fazed. She reached out to grab me. Husband, wait a second. Let me process this for a moment. The flood of information was overwhelming. I fled straight back to the second floor. When I opened my eyes again, the sky outside was already dark. Only then did I realize I had been so preoccupied processing the awkwardness that I accidentally fell asleep. Oh no! Did Liu Ryan leave already? I jumped out of bed in a panic. The moment I opened my bedroom door, there she was, kneeling dutifully on a washboard. She quickly glanced up at me, then straightened her posture even more. Her head bowed. No exaggeration. At that moment, I almost imagined a droopy, fluffy tail dragging on the ground behind her, and a pair of triangular dog ears flopping down from her head. I was speechless. Who taught you to do this? I asked. Your mom did, she replied. She said when she was young, this was how she apologized. You're quite the eager learner. Husband, she said softly. Are you not angry anymore? I wasn't even angry. To begin with. I scratched my head. I just felt a bit awkward. And then accidentally fell asleep. Whether you're Liu Ryan or Shen Ryan doesn't matter. I like you. It's always been about wanting to be with you. The only difference for me might be that now there's less resistance. After I finished speaking, I noticed Liu Ryan's blazing gaze. Instinctively, I took a step back. Why are you looking at me like that? I asked. Husband, she said, you're so sweet. I want to kiss you. She stood up as she said it, an overwhelming aura of dominance radiating from her. I took several steps back, but she wrapped her arms around my waist. Liu Ryan's eyes softened, gazing at me without moving. Can I kiss you, husband? She asked. I've been kneeling for so long. My knees really hurt. I, utterly defeated, softened my heart, and then I was held down for a 30-minute kiss. Save me. She must be some undiscovered species. A green tea fox spirit in disguise. If not for my mom knocking on the door. Her teeth clenched, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. You're not even engaged yet. Come out right now. I doubt I would have escaped with just a 30-minute kiss. After stepping outside, Liu Ryan transformed back into her obedient, honest self. She sat close to me, answering my parents' questions one by one. When I saw her off at the door, a thought suddenly struck me. You said your parents took it upon themselves to propose the marriage. Why did they choose my family? Because they found your love letters to me in my room, she said. What? I questioned if I was hearing things. You wrote me love letters? But we've never even. Liu Ryan glanced at me, her eyes brimming with grievance. We've met before, she said, at the math competition. You helped me pick up my books, fought off those bullies for me, and even comforted me. I was utterly confused. No, I didn't, I said. I only helped an older boy once. Suddenly, it all clicked. My words trailed off mid-sentence. Liu Ryan looked even more aggrieved. I was 16 then, in my rebellious phase, and I had a little braid to keep up with the trend. That's hard to imagine. I was speechless. Then why did you write love letters and never give them to me? You're the one who said it, she replied, that you'd focus on your career and wouldn't consider dating until you were 30. Liu Ryan's expression was serious. So while studying abroad, I worked hard, trying to keep up with you, to become someone worthy of you. Whenever I missed you, I'd write you a love letter. I thought that when you opened up to dating at 30, I'd be the first one to pursue you. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're so silly. I was only 18 then. You can't take everything I said so seriously. But you were shining back then, she said. Liu Ryan's smile was gentle. He Kong, you have no idea. When you stood on stage holding the gold medal, boldly sharing your life goals, you were breathtaking. I tilted her chin up, and now I asked. Just as breathtaking, Liu Ryan replied firmly. Her face flushed. Can I chase after you now? I've been preparing for so long. I even reserved the seat right behind you, watching you finish to drinks, glide onto the dance floor for a spin, and then order 5 female models. She looked as though she'd been struck by lightning, completely frozen in shock. Forget it. Teasing her like this always made me feel guilty. Like I was bullying a puppy. I leaned in and kissed her. Because we have a marriage agreement, I reminded her. You've already forgotten what you call me. Husband. She murmured, her voice sticky sweet, startling the birds resting in the treetops of the garden. In the distance, my mom's grumbling voice echoed. She's already calling him that? Doesn't this girl know anything about taking it step by step? Mixed with my dad's attempts to calm her down, Liu Ryan and I exchanged a smile. Let's elope. No way. There are still a few projects at work that haven't progressed yet. Can't you take a wedding leave? She asked. Maybe after those 2 projects are completed. Liu Ryan pouted for a long time, then gave me 2 fierce kisses before stopping. So unfair, she muttered. Why do you feel more like a capitalist than me? I smiled and placed my hand on the buttons of her shirt. Her voice went hoarse. Husband, what are you doing? Didn't you tell me, Tsai, that this is what you love to see? I undid one button. I really do love to see it. The golden sunset poured through the window, spilling onto the floor and the bed. If I could meet the 18-year-old He Kong, I'd tell him, be yourself. Keep moving forward. Oh, and by the way, there's a girl with a little braid in the audience. You just helped her. She's your future wife.